So everything should go fine. But I'm just going to lean on this nice wall. This supportive church building. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Somewhere there is a blue velvet couch with a haiku about itself written on an index card inside its upholstery. Dear blue couch, when you are blue, I am blue. So long. Thanks for the velvet. Soon after we parted, I lost my car, Phoebe. She had a cassette deck and an adapter to play my Sony Discman. The tapes and CDs that were in there when the car went missing make up the soundtrack to this story. You better watch what you say. You better watch what you do to me. Don't get carried away. Girl, if you can do better than me, go. She dragged us together and left us next to each other, hoping we would remember, but even if we do, what do we do? It was during the cling moon. I lurched to the corner phone and rang you. If you tend to get carried away, you said, then just sit still when it happens. Nothing gets carried away like a statue. Wow. Cupid goes to work in the evenings. She carries her arrows under her clipboard. Let's say I'm you, she says to folks at the door. And if their eyes grow wide, she'll be quieter next time. It's simple. They're simple. We thought she'd be better doing something dispassionate, like Whatever You Wanted. Landlords, blinded by love for their rental units, will credit windows with good sunlight, but Cupid knows it takes much more than that to make good sun. Cupid takes orders and shoots around town to people's doors, fulfilling them. Picture Cupid with a bullhorn, Cupid with a clipboard, Cupid following you in a car, and you're supposed to try not to lose her at stoplights, but now imagine how you yourself might be lost in thought. 18 feet of stars on wet wires that don't short, lockers full of costumes, feathers, neoprene, and capes and t-shirts on shoulders. Know your population. The dead can't hold you back. I know the language is a problem, but I don't think the solution is to fiddle with it. Needle in a haystack kind of situation. Only nature can make something that works. Cupid is the man who takes the quarters from the payphone. She never misses touching one. Before they dropped it, it was warm and blotted out the sun from the change slot. Nobody gave a thought to the cost. Each had come only after one thing, and what, they don't say. But I do, because hell is other people, but hell is not you. You come to me at night, and only the lamps come on. But how to concede the argument you're not having? How to quit nothing? Wing it. Someday it's going to be the end of the night at the tent revival, and you'll still have all your little booklets. We're out of what we used to offer. At 3-1 Loss Prevention, the apologies I owe are listing. She only comes out for boys. What's the difference? You is still the best pronoun. You won't like him. He's like a book. He doesn't look back the way the phone and the computer do. Everything to say and won't even know if you read him. She doesn't really use an arrow, you know. Straight, yes, but no bow. The cologne of the last man stays on the phone. You never say it right to them. So Cupid had ordered 50 fires by then from the bakery because she always gets the number wrong. They corrected in their sleep with tears in their eyes. You know how she's been. And then hush. But the bakery counts the fires and says, never mind, we'll deliver them on time. It's no problem. So now she's stumbling before dawn to set them from tent to tent, from door to door. They have no concept of cobblestone here, but you can see she's fallen on something. The way the field rises up and then breaks where they cut the bank to the access road, it's too much with the blue-green glass for coincidence. You hear it every morning, not constant but on time, like the bus. Not the one that comes when you're ready, but the other one, before that. To adults, the danger had always lay in lacing, and neither the innocent nor those who had made bad choices deserved to be laced, but lacers were shot in wings and could bring the comedic faster even than emergencies, and if you needed them, there was no one else. So you learned to keep the ends loose. Now when someone points it out, alike or not, that person's marked, and when you never kneel to fix it in response, only nod, then they know they fucked up. But they were only trying to protect you. No one looks out anymore. Everyone is super hands-on, and still everyone falls. So warnings were just something you said right before it happened. I got a moat, I got a drawbridge too. Around my heart I don't come down for you. I'm alone when I'm alone with you. It's a little death. Grun knows how the music goes, including CDs and tapes the music is on, including Grun knows when your mom is singing in the shower. Grun knows where digital files come from and how they get to your phone. Grun knows where your earbuds are, but that's as far as it goes with you. As far as Grun knows, you can do one thing, which is hear. You don't listen. That's not a problem. Sometimes you hold still. When you hold still, still gets up and goes to sleep on the couch. Still doesn't need your breath on its ear all night, you know? Grun knows where your car is if you have the radio on. Grun doesn't care. Grun eats lunch in the band room at the local high school. It's better than eating with you. Grun isn't even local. You know that scene in that movie where the traffic on the highway sounds like the ocean and the ocean sounds like the band at the beach bar and they finally have that moment? Yeah, Grun doesn't. Grun wrote home about the weather the weekend you came here. Do you remember? It rained glass powder from the construction of the Comcast building and someone took away your clothes. But Grun thought this would be a good place to live. And Grun is not wrong. Grun runs under the highway and only coincidentally doesn't throw you off. If one day Grun didn't come, there'd be trouble with bridge vibrations and an oddness to anyone rolling up the driveway, but Grun does nothing for you. Yet, when they run the herd from a helicopter, the herd is like a river flowing through the gate, saying something obedient to a coworker. I love walking down the escalator. You get so much closer to the ground so fast, it feels almost like they're burying you finally. One or the other was getting to me. The building was historic. From the 16th floor, plants hanging in pots. Never mind. There was one girl there on stealth, must be hiding from the helicopters. Where in the room did she sit? Must have sat on the bed. She must have sat on the bed. She wouldn't want to miss anything that went on there. Every day at sunset, she was in her room. Can't remember if it was cold or warm, but it must have been. No one's looking for walking distance to a Walmart. What can you buy there that you can walk home? Now the plants are all dry and upside down and always hanging, silhouetted on projections for an art show that isn't. More or less like that spider that dropped from the ceiling. What even day was that? What town? What would have brought a person around there? First you have to find it, meaning know where to look. There's nothing that would get you off the highway but seeing the exit you were looking for already. What would make this a whole place would be if you had a point, 3, a plane, and a double line that leads to the moon. When you go somewhere and he isn't there, it makes you like him more. You can dismiss my advice if you want. But the only thing anyone ever died from is not being able to choose what happens next. So, always be in control. Cupid's afternoon trainings are no joke. You can't prove it by us she doesn't sleep here, weirdo. She's here with the sun. It blinds you when you get off the elevator. You suspect her, but you don't know of what. She's already drawn half the maps. She's clearing wrong and wasted papers from the clipboards. You won't be able to avoid the one-on-one, and Cupid only cares about numbers, so don't waste her time. She'll want your total, and then she'll want to know why, and she'll want that in numbers too, like can you walk faster, or fewer doors, or more, or fewer minutes with losers, or identifying marks. And then we all go out and she'll feed us? Yeah, and beer is on Central. What about train fare? They'll reimburse you. What if I make 310 minutes? Congratulations. Then can I quit? If you want, but if I'm you, I wouldn't tell anybody I did. What if I don't make anything tonight? Then you can try again tomorrow, but you probably won't. Why wouldn't I? I couldn't possibly tell you that, but most people don't. The whole thing was lit by the sound of what must be by now antique camera flashes, recharging automatically, immediately after firing. There are spots on the wall to stare at. Don't let language hog the spotlight. I'm rehearsing as I'm standing on the train. For the first few months, I got that feeling in my sleep, but it's gone. It's been however long. This one doomsday prophet I used to know, can't see him anymore, has been saying to me, look at these people out here. He's hard to hear, though. This is now a little something you are doing to yourself. All these characters will be back in some horrifying finale. Once in a while, someone comes through and touches the screen. It's hot and smells like dust. So this is when they were digital, but still supported by something that overheats. Hot, dusty lenses. It's just after solstice when 2017 pries your window open and drops in the smell of bleach and frying yellow squash, someone's kitchen, and police sirens. It's been widely proven by children that you cannot hold your breath until you die, but if I ever see that boy again, I'll ask questions after. By the time the sun sets, it saw everything, but you figure it's not mad anymore in favor of Japan and whichever pole it can almost reach, which, to be honest, is the one that stays on its mind. There are 13 Fridays next summer. Let's set out from the front door running in sunlight about 3 p.m. Chase down moods that come dimly from dreams we suspect are other lives. Something of yours with rainlit pavement, something of mine with Queen Anne's lace. Leave parentheses in space if you don't know. Knock on all the mountains in the city. It hurts to ask, but you have to. Visit other cities. You'll find teenage trees and pools of fish raised on copper pennies. Get a clue. Buy a blank book at a coffee-stinking bookstore and fill it up out of the rain. Keep it between you at night, away from the sides of the tent. If you don't come back, leave it behind. When we find it, the index will be alphabetized, but it won't make any difference. Melancholy, 5. Melancholy, 30. Melancholy, 53. I'm trying to sort this out. It turns out not texting people is really easy. All you have to do, there are 2 things you have to do simultaneously. The first thing is, don't text that person. And the other thing is, while you're doing that, let time pass. And that part's really easy because you don't even control that. Literally, all you have to do is sit perfectly still or do anything else that isn't texting that person. At 3-1 loss prevention, we are listening until you turn us off. 3-1 loss. During the Kling Moon, we give you anything you want, prevent nothing, we only say that. 3-1 loss, we aim, we have him, we bet you're sorry, we have him right about now. The 3-1 loss family travels. The longer the pavement, the less the smoking motel. If anyone loved him, they'd have kept him inside. The gun was the heaviest handheld. Listen. I know I've said this over and over and over again since then, but there's always some other reason why you might have missed it, so I'm just going to leave it here. I don't mind going down with the ship, whether from radiation, leaking, iceberg collision, or if one of you should turn to me with a thud. You're mine. I'm yours. We make the weather. We have our bad ideas together. I commit. I'm in. Whatever it takes to get us off this island. Some of us don't aspire to much. Like me, my last life was so good, I'm content to sit here and remember it. It's an easy day to meditate with the sink full of sounds and everyone bathing. I got everything I want by being nice to the wrong twin, and you're here running your mouth about free marbles. The trick is to say nothing anyone would know the opposite of. You'd never know Earth from the crowd. It's big, not ringed, but it's got a lot of water. Some people aren't allowed yet to open the door. Some people are short and haven't earned it. But people peek, so there is some pondering before dawn. You hear the plane. It sounds like everybody's up. I'm 19, and it's a few days before your 11th birthday when police find 17 payphones in a 14th floor apartment. We messed up. They busted a man and woman in their 30s. We'd never even been to New York. But why did they do it? It was their first idea. It was idiotic. They had a thing about payphones. They thought they could save information in the lines. They didn't even know what they meant by lines, like the wires with the birds on them, or how they held a person's voice. They didn't do good research. They tried to use crowbars. They didn't leave good notes. All they needed were the fingerprints. This doesn't get said for generations, and by then he's him, so he barely says it right at all. He's a breath of whiskey off from you on the winter air and says they needed to lift a finger. Not a finger, you know how they have at the police station. The ghosts from when the fingers touched the phone. Someone held them. They left this. You all should have seen her before I caught her. You should have seen how she looked, over her shoulder. What about the boy stocking shelves in the grocery? You were supposed to see him soon and bring this box of impressions from Philly. It's gotten wet and some of the electricity smells like sparks, for we know in part and we prophesy in part. They're trying to build a picture off a tuning fork. It's retrofit and unnecessary, rolling up the receiver and looking through a spray of speaker and microphone holes, a long-sounding horn, a long-standing constellation that doesn't look quite right this evening, gates swinging, bells unlocked, all your notes spilling, lumpier under the snow than you thought they'd look. You can't let on you see them. No one's looking at your shoes but you. The bus is leaving. You don't want to look like you missed it, so you don't run for it, even though it sits at the red light a long time and you could have caught it, but maybe not with those hands. And not from on high, as I understood it. So you think the Lord works in mysterious ways, right? Okay, but then when you deify a person, you still expect to understand everything they do. I said do my work, and you went out and spread my word instead. No one said for you to do that. A witch in a situation raises alarm in proportion to the number of non-witches around, but taking a walk during the wake doesn't bring the person all the way back. During the motorcade, under the body, the bridge shakes a coat of bridge flakes down over stuff before the snow comes. Things are so dirty he'll never get up. I had to take my coffee in a styrofoam cup. Can't think of anything worse. People are dead. I mean, sometimes you meet your match. Imagine Cupid with a bullhorn, Cupid with a clipboard. After last lifetime, I got separated from the family. They all came back together and I came back apart. No one remembered why. Before I was born, God said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I don't know," and shrugged. And God said, "I've never seen a baby so indifferent to this world." And God was alone. He hadn't made coffee yet, so there wasn't any. Before long, God made Cupid. Otherwise, he couldn't get anyone up. Disgusting, as a conjugate of discuss. It's just after solstice when 2017 pries your window open and drops in the smell of bleach and frying yellow squash, someone's kitchen, and sirens. It's been widely proven by children that you cannot hold your breath until you die, but if I ever see that boy again, I'll ask questions after. By the time the sun rises, it will have seen everything, but you have to figure it won't be mad by then. In another version, they change it from a payphone to a candy machine. She doesn't recognize her fortune and keeps calling. What can you do? The bats swing at sundown. We were right to mourn you. The floor was more covered with boxes than not. It could easily be all night. Wouldn't you feel better if you ate? When she answers him, she is preemptively contrite, a habit that reminds him how he is, a person who inspires a habit of contrition in his wife. He liked her better when they met. Those you mourn and those you long for, seek them among the living and the willing. Now how do we end this? It's not safe to be Wyoming, things being what they are. But waiting for the bus in January, you can't believe how warm the sun gets when you face it. Why do you doubt? It falls against the glass, but it knows the way down. Shake it, like no one ever has, and see. Thank you.
One more time for Heather Dooley, please.